went from looking like this to looking like this, and in this video I'll tell you exactly what I did and how you can achieve the same results in just 3 months. Chances are if you're watching this video, you've tried to lose weight before, but most likely you haven't seen any progress, or you're not satisfied with your progress, which just makes you sad. Sometimes, instead of losing weight like we're supposed to, we gain weight instead. In the beginning, you're super motivated by the person that you'll become after being super shredded. In the beginning, you get 10,000 steps a day every day. You're super consistent, but then a couple of days later, the motivation wears off. 10,000 steps that you used to get every day becomes 8,000. That becomes the new norm. But then a couple of days later, the motivation that you had drops down even further. And then the 8,000 steps turns into 6,000. And then the cycle keeps repeating itself until you just get back to square one where you once were before. You become even more depressed. And during our cuts, we're in these periods of super restrictive diets where we're just hungry all the time, and it just makes us want to crave food. And whenever we do end up craving and eating the food, it just makes us feel even more shit, which doesn't have to be the case. And the worst part is, sometimes we don't even start. Whenever we do start, we think of the judgment the people around us, our family and our friends, might react to us wanting to lose weight, which is sad, because they should be the ones who should be motivating you the most. So before we get started with the video, chances are you've heard of these terms called calories and calorie deficit. What is a calorie? Because you'll need to know this if you want to lose weight. Think of calories as just energy. The food that you eat, your body takes it and it turns it into energy. And the energy that's in your body, it's used whenever you do an activity, or you work out, even while you're watching this video. Very brief nutshell, that is calories. So a calorie deficit, what is it? In layman's terms, let's say you're making $1,000 a month. That's your income. And then let's say your monthly expenses are $900. So at the end of the month, you'll be saving $100. And the same scenario, this time you spend $1,500 instead. In this scenario, you'd have a $500 in debt. That is pretty much calorie deficit in a nutshell. If you're saving money when you have $100 saved up, that is being a calorie deficit because you're spending less than you're making. However, in this next scenario, you're in debt. You're in a calorie surplus. You're spending more than you're earning. So how we can relate this financial knowledge into a calorie deficit? Let's say your body, it requires 2,000 calories to operate. To be in a calorie deficit, the amount of energy or calories you get from food has to be less than this 2,000 calorie number. So let's say you ate 1,800 calories from food. So then you'd be in a 200 calorie deficit. Pretty simple. So before we get started, you'll need a couple tools. Number one, food scale, a weighing machine, and a calorie tracking app. I'll tell you why we need these tools later, but for now, with food scale, I'm going to assume 80% of your diet is the same. For example, out of the 7 days of the week, I'm going to assume 6 days you eat pretty much the same food, and 80% of the food that you eat throughout the day, pretty much the same. And this is really important information because we're going to take data from these tools, so we want to make this data as precise and as accurate as possible. And what we're going to do with this food scale is take every measurement of the food that you eat. By every measurement, I mean every measurement. Doesn't matter if it's like a small chocolate bar or if it's an entire meal. I want you to measure every single food and how much you're eating of it. And this is what it would look like. And then once you pair up the food scale with the calorie tracking app, this is what it would look like. This is what I usually have for breakfast. Chicken size, 220 grams. This. This was done through an app called Chronometer. Why Chronometer to be exact? Because it's, number one, free. And it has the widest selection when it came to items. So this is just what I use. The second thing that we need is a weighing machine. To know that we're losing weight, we first need a device that tells us how much we weigh. What we want to do is we take a combination of these three and then we just monitor everything for 1 week. Do not make any changes. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, everything that you eat, put it into Chronometer and then monitor it for 1 week. And then when it comes to weight, measure yourself once in the morning. In the morning, you're the least loaded. It's a period of time where you have the most consistent weight. Throughout the day, you eat food, you drink water, and then you get bloated. So mornings are usually the most reliable way to track weight. And do it in as minimal clothing as possible. After you've done monitoring, you want to know this number, 7,700. Why 7,700? That's the amount of calories that's present in 1 kilogram. So if you wanted to lose 1 kilograms in weight, you'd have to burn 7,700 calories. If you wanted to burn 1 kilograms in a week, that would be 7,700 per week or 1,100 a day. It's extremely unrealistic for people to actually do this. And this is what leads to burnout. The restriction you have on your food is just so bad. What you can aim for is a more realistic number. Half of that, 550, which translates to 0.5 kilos per week. And this makes life so easy. Everything that you struggled with before, this is pretty much a sweet spot of all your struggles. Don't feel like you're starving, and it's at a point where it's easy to maintain. You see visible progress every week, and it motivates you even further as well. So now that we have our goals, we want to lose 0.5 kgs per week, 550 calories a day. How exactly do we do this? If you use the same app that I told you before, this is what your dashboard should look like. It contains all the stuff from the food you ate, how many calories you obtain from the food, the amount of protein protein. Then you got carbs and fats. The most important category that we're concerned in here with is protein. Why protein to be exact? Because protein helps preserve muscles. When we think of weight loss, you don't want to lose weight. You want to lose fat. If you go on these heavy calorie restrictive diets and you just eat fruits and vegetables, what happens is you lose muscle on top of fat. So you do lose weight, but then you end up becoming incredibly skinny. Amount of protein, what I aim for, 1.8 grams to 2.2 grams per kilogram of your body weight. So for example, if you're 70 kilos, you'd want to eat somewhere between 126 to 154 grams of protein. That is the amount of protein you want to aim for. This is extremely important because you want to preserve muscle as much as possible. The next section we have is fats, the red thing below here. Fats are interesting because proteins and carbohydrates both have 4 calories per gram. Fats have 9, so more than double. So you might be thinking you want to avoid fats. Fats are bad, but the thing is, fats contribute to your hormones. They're the things that help your body do its bodily functions. So if you want to grow taller, if you actually want to function, if you want to move around, then this is pretty important. You want to get in fats. How much fat you want to get is around 20 to 30% of your daily calories. If you're having 2,000 calories per day, you'd want to make that 20 to 30%. So for 2,000 calories, that would look something like 400 to 600 calories. And then divide that by 9 calories, get 45 to 66 grams of fats. So now we have a clear baseline for what our fats and what our protein goals are. But then still, we're left with this number, this 550 number. Where do we take it out of? So we play with carbs, this blue thing. Carbs is probably the most important factor when it comes to weight loss out of all these other categories because carbs just provide the body immediate energy that you can access. So for example, let's say you eat like a banana and then the banana contains a lot of carbohydrates. What your body does is in the future, it ever needs to do like a heavy activity. If you like go on a run, the body makes sure to use the energy, the calories from this banana first. They're from carbs. In the absence of these carbs, your body utilizes body fat that's present in your body. But this doesn't mean carbs are evil. Carbs are a great source of energy, but we just want to play with them a bit until we reach our magical number of 550. I've put in 2,500 calories as an example. So let's say this is what you ate in your monitoring section. So for protein, let's say we had 150 grams of protein. That will look at like 600 calories. For fats, let's say we had 60 grams of fat. That will look like 540 calories. So out of the 2,500, we reduce these two, and then we get 1,460. Out of the 1,460, we want to be in a 550 deficit to lose 0.5 kg a week, and that would look like 910 calories, which is 227 grams of carbs, which is this number right here. This is the amount of calories that you can get from carbs. And this is, in a nutshell, how you lose weight. You track everything in this app for 1 week, and then you measure your weight. You track everything in this app for 1 week. After that, split these 3 categories in order of importance. Protein, you want to absolutely make sure you get this number, 1.8 grams to 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight. The next is fat, 20 to 30% of your total calories, which would look something like this. And after your protein and fat intake has been done with for the day, you deal with your carbs. And that is quite literally the simplest way to lose weight without having to starve yourself and while being able to see noticeable progress every week. So this is what your daily diet could look like. These are my screenshots. So in the morning, started off with 120 grams of bananas. And then for breakfast, I had 220 grams of chicken, 150 of this. And then for dinner, I had 200, 155, 50. And then for snack, I had 200 grams of mangoes. That came up to 35 grams of fat, 100 grams of carbs, and then 154 grams proteins. There's a problem with this chart. Probably the fats and the calories is probably a bit too low. But this is just an example of what your chart could look like. This is all I did for 3 months. Literally all I did. It sounds boring. It sounds way too simple or something that you've been struggling with for so long, but it works. This is literally all I did to go from this to this, to make your life even easier. Here are some cheat codes in my playbook that you can follow. So number 1, eliminate all junk food from your environment. So you know how whenever you cheat on your diet, whenever you have chocolate, chips, it's usually because it's in your environment. What we can do is modify our environment so that it doesn't have junk food at all. And the first step towards modifying your environment is just your home. In your home, if there's junk food, if there's chips on the kitchen counter, if there's ice cream, if there's chocolate in the fridge, get rid of it, dude. Like, just throw it out because you know that's bad for you. You know you're gonna relapse, even though you might cope by saying that you won't. But the truth is, the day you do relapse, the day you do cheat on your diet, you're just gonna feel so bad after. Instead of regretting it later, just do it now. Get rid of all the junk food. And the second thing that might not be noticeable is your environment when you're going to work or school. And what that implies is, let's say you take like a road, like your commute, and then on the way to commute, there's like a shop, your favorite shop that you always buy like chips and chocolate from. And you've gotten so addicted to buying this stuff that instead of like physically stopping and thinking whether you want to eat this stuff, your brain has pretty much like developed a habit to just walk up to the shopkeeper and then just ask for food. So what the best way to avoid this would be, number one, either just go into the other side of the road and just walk from this direction instead. It sounds stupid, but it 100% does work. 100% does work. So, or you could take a different route altogether. Instead of taking this road, you could take this road instead. And this is an example of just changing your environment to your advantage. Make everything your advantage. And this is the biggest cheat code you can ever hope for. And the next thing is to be smart about cravings. Now, in the beginning of the video, how I mentioned about how we go on these super restrictive diets that we feel super hungry. But the thing is, even if you follow my principle of just 550 calories a day, you'll still feel hungry. And that's okay. That's fine. Because your body is being supplied with less fuel than it needs. And the mindset shift I want you to have about this is don't think that hunger is a bad thing. But you can deal with this. And the key to deal with this is high volume. And what does high volume mean? Pretty much, you can eat a lot of a particular kind of food, but that food is very low in calories. For example, let's say there was ice cream, and then you could eat like 10 cones of ice cream. Say these 10 cones would be like 100 calories, which is a dream come true situation. But so that's what I mean by food that's high volume. You can eat a lot of it, doesn't have much calories. The main source of this is vegetables. Vegetables will be 100% be your best friend. Now, if you don't like vegetables, that's okay. You don't have to like all the vegetables. There's cucumbers, potatoes, sweet potatoes, spinach, broccoli, etc. that I just put in here as examples. You could have any other vegetable in the world. It would work absolutely fine. For example, here, I do not like broccoli. I do not like eating spinach. And that's okay. I just paired my meals with cucumbers in the end, and then potatoes and sweet potatoes. They make you feel super full. And the next thing is fruits. Blueberries, strawberries, they're pretty good. But apart from that, bananas, apples, even oranges, they're kind of like sus. They're low in calories. And you will never hear of any person who've gotten fat eating fruits. The thing is, they're very tasty. And it's really easy to overeat on fruits, not with vegetables. Because let's be honest, nobody overeats broccoli. With fruits, when they're extremely tasty, you just want to eat them more. And sometimes you can just end up overeating. With fruits, I'd be a bit experimental, but with vegetables, 100% add them in your meals. Number 3 might be a bit contrary to our second point, which is just eat less frequently. Look at my reference picture here. I was eating twice a day, breakfast and dinner. Now, I was able to do this because, first of all, I'm used to it. And second of all, my lifestyle allows for it. In the morning, I had this as soon as I came back home from the gym. And then I went to school straight up. In school, I didn't have lunch. And then I had dinner as soon as I came back home. My lifestyle allowed for it. If you really struggle accommodating your calories, try this out. Eat less frequently. Let's say you eat like 4 meals a day. Divide this into just 2 or 3. Because in the beginning, it might be difficult. Once you get used to it, it becomes very easy. Best way I found to reduce the total number of meals that you eat is to just skip breakfast. Most of the times, the reason they even want to eat breakfast in the first place is because you have habit. First thing is choose a positive friend circle. This goes to what I told you in the beginning. Sometimes we're just afraid of what people might think about us when we try to change. And this was the case for me as well. I always thought of what my friend, my family, what the kids at school would say about me. It doesn't make sense because they should support you. If you have a positive friend circle, or even better, fit friends, they will make your life so much easier. Chances of you being fit as well increase by like 100%. That's the impact of your friend circle. Number 5 is just walk more. Now you might be thinking, Xavier, we're already on this 550 calorie deficit. We're already losing 0.5 kgs per week. So why do we need to walk more? I can explain to you in 2 terms. Number 1, your budget. Number 2 is just generally better for your heart. So number 1, what does increasing your budget mean? Let's say you have a low income. Example I told you about earlier about calories. So let's say the daily calories that you got from your monitoring session was around 2,000. There's some people that is extremely low. So what happens is after you get the proteins and then you get the fats and then you reduce the 550, you're not left with much. Sometimes the only calories you have left for carbs are like 120. And then you just feel so hungry. You have to increase your income. And the main way your body burns through calories is just through its daily function. That just consumes the most amount of calories. Another thing is through physical activity. Best way to do this is not through working out, but by walking. Walking after your meals, to be exact. Because if you walk for just 10 to 15 minutes to improve digestion and blood sugar spikes, which helps you lose weight and makes your heart even healthier. What I want you to aim for is around 8 to 10,000 steps a day. Every short video that you see about losing weight, this is the main thing that comes up. What this does increases your budget, and by increasing your budget from this 2,000, now this isn't limited to people with like super low budgets. Even if you're a big guy and your calories are very high, this just serves as a way to either increase your rate of weight loss, you lose weight even faster, or you can eat more good food. So you can have like an ice cream like every once every month. So that's the way to increase your budget and eat more good food. So what you can do is adjust your lifestyle. That's the best way to do it. And around 10 minutes of walking, which I recommended here, you get around 1100 steps roughly. So there are two ways to obtain this magical number of 8 to 10,000 steps a day. The best way to do is just make a lifestyle adjustment. You go to work, you come back home, and then you go hang out with friends. Let's say you use a vehicle to work and to get back home. If possible, try to walk to work. And then whenever you go hang out with friends, just walk. Like walk wherever possible. So let's say you eat 3 times a day, then you walk for 30 minutes. That's already 3K steps done. Let's say your work is like 20 minutes away. So another 2K steps. And then hitting this goal doesn't become a dream. In the beginning, it will be difficult. Walking in your room, just set a 15-minute timer on your phone and just walk in your room. Walk back and forth in your room. And that is more than enough. Let's say this isn't possible for you. To use 30-minute walk session, if we take this number like a reference point, this is around 6K steps, including the steps you get for eating food. And then throughout the day, you get a lot of steps as well. Number 6, healthy progression. Because it's like you're following all these rules, trying to be strategic and smart. Optimization isn't always the best thing. Sometimes just consistency is better. If you can consistently nail the 550 protocol for like 6 days a week, that's perfectly fine instead of being super strict about your calories, trying to lose weight super duper fast for like 3 days a week and then just crashing out later on in the week. It's just about being consistent. Occasionally, every now and then, you can treat yourself as well. Goal of this video isn't to help you lose weight as fast as possible necessarily. It's to help you enjoy the process. This is the entire protocol that I follow to lose weight. If you want personal feedback one-to-one from me, can click on the first link in the description. It should pop you up to a website called Calendly. You can book a call with me there. The first 10 people, it's completely free for them. And with that, I'll see everybody in the next video.